Hey Libra. Whether you like it or not, this month is probably one of the most important for the next couple years. I say that because next year, and I know I don't mean to get so far away, but it helps you kind of ground down into like why or what's happening now and like what's going on with your scales especially. So this year we have the eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio, and the Taurus eclipse is on April 30th. That will be a big moment for you. It's this big moment of this final realization, this final understanding of why it was so important for all of this constant up and down, regardless of how you see up and down, right? It's just how your life's been going. Everyone has it in their own way. And you can see that in another direction too, but we'll get into that into the second part, which will be in a link below. For Patreon, and all information to work with me is information to work with me one-on-one is below as well. Sorry. So this month is all about really understanding what your heart wants, and that could make you feel, some of you over romanticize, maybe that can make you feel scared and out of control. Maybe that sentiment makes you wonder what I mean. There's many different directions for that as well. But most importantly, for those of you who have been shown most of your vulnerabilities for a while now to people that maybe you work with, to situations where you have weaknesses, situations where you don't get to exude the best parts of you, but that's the light, and that's why you're able to grow. That's why you're able to understand. That's why you're able to see things the way that you see them. And now you're understanding more than ever that that's just what life is. There's a part of you that looks forward to the death, which is Scorpio as well. So you look forward to the sign in front of you sometimes because the light is so directed on you, and when it's your time, and you'll get a deeper understanding of what Libra season will be like come April 16th, which is the full moon. So the full circle back to why this month is extremely important for the years to come is about how you handle it, how you handle the energy, even when it's hard, even when it's frustrating, even when you have to take accountability, even when you just are shown once again where you might be overworking, where you might be not doing what's actually necessary in terms of how you put your energy, where you put your energy, and what's actually important. There's a part of you, and for those of you watching, that don't understand how much pressure you can put on yourselves. Regardless of the decisions you're making, you put pressure on it, which is why people can cause you to be or claim you to be indecisive. That's not actually true. It's because you see things a certain way, and you know each decision ultimately affects the next thing. And so when you're looking at your life in terms of what you want for maybe years to come, or what it is that's no longer going to exist years from now in your life, it's about really letting go of the structure that you even built. That can cause you to feel out of control. What do you mean? And some of you might feel excited by it. It really just depends. It's because this thing that has entered your life, this person that may have entered your life, is so stable and showing you how passion can be controlled and exuberated when you learn to be grounded, when you learn to understand why you're doing it, so that you don't need that rush of, some might say, self-sabotage. So if you don't need that rush of that anymore, it's maybe because you're putting that energy where it needs to go. We all do it. We all have our ways of doing, but at this point in this season, you're finally at this place where this doesn't always affect you emotionally. You need to hear these things from people, especially people that you understand you. And It's not because you're doing anything wrong or not because you need to be called out, and it could be karma for sure. I believe in karma more than anyone. Karma's real. I see it happen all the time. But you need not control other people's karma. You cannot do that. You may understand it, but it doesn't mean that you can do it yourself. You can control what comes towards you and how you respond to things and how you decide to own up to things that you might have to own up to, especially like when you're talking about what life looks like for you. It may look a little different than it does right now, but you've been more than willing to do the work for it, but now the work needs to be directed somewhere else. And come this Taurus, so very Venusian, this is a very explosive time for you. There's Uranus and the eclipses, the nodes, in your sister-ish sign, Venusian sign of Taurus. And it's really important that you learn to understand that just like Taurus has its own way of being overly Venusian as well. Not overly Venusian, it's more of how you guys exuberate that, right? You're at the point where you're sifting through what needs to be used for the next 6 months, what needs to be applied for the next 6 months, what needs to be weighed out for the next 6 months. You understand that comes with all of this territory, and more than ever now it looks like you're ready to take accountability because you kind of can't run, can't hide type thing happening again. Like there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go except for to be yourself and sit here and stand here and make the decisions you need to make for what's around you, for what's important to you, what's important for the life that you continuously build on. Then when people look at you, they'll understand you. You're going to have to make hard decisions. But you're watching certain parts of you fall away that you may not have thought you could part from up until this moment, up until this point. When Mercury enters Taurus on the 10th, it's really important that you understand the influence of your words, the power of your words. You act and speak. You need to act and speak in the ways that you act and speak. Those can't be misaligned right now because everything's coming into fruition for you. Everything's going to start to really take root and take a larger sense of your time and discussion. There may have things that have been placed on you subconsciously before you can even decide. And you've been at this point, and in the Saturnian, very fatherly figure we have up here having the devil, this could be Pluto and how Pluto's been in Scorpio, and how that really digs up and underneath everything, the ground, and it causes you to understand that it's okay not to protect yourself and protect your heart in the way that you used to. It's no longer necessary for the healing to happen. It's no longer necessary for receptivity. It's no longer necessary. It's time to really let things fall they just need to fall so that you can then create from that raw material this month, that which is Aries season, that which people don't understand that you're able to. That's why you're so capable of so many things, because you have this raw energy to do this, do that, understand this, learn that, tweak it this way, tweak it that way. And it all happens in such a short period of time that no one understands the amount of work that goes into each layer. Only you do. But don't be afraid to show people that. Don't be afraid to show people how much you do and how much you're capable of, because people then will understand. You may look at it like you do too much, or you want it to look like this, or you're a perfectionist in this way. No, you just know it's okay to know how to do things well. And it's okay to admit where you don't. So when you get that acknowledgement and people see that, and when you have to teach other people certain things or show certain things to people, they understand that when you become efficient in something, then it can become second nature to your mind, to your body, to how you maneuver. That doesn't mean, just like I was telling Virgo, similar but different. You don't need to put that everywhere right now. Only to the really important places, because if you push too hard right now, it won't make sense, and you'll end up maybe hurting something or breaking something or messing something up that was coming together all along. So bottom of the deck being, we have this love, this understanding with another person, with yourself, with life, with how things change, how things don't change, seeing things for what they are, seeing yourself for who you are, and having that be directly reflected to you as you help show to others. So this month is really like that tough love, but also that beautiful strength in which we all have. And something that you have and that you can give so much to yourself right now is by knowing what you have and sitting on it. And taking acceptance of what you don't, and taking accountability for what comes your way that you had either no idea, no control over, or messed up on. And also, not overly doing it. Like, hold your boundaries. You'll be surprised about how people respond to you without asking for too much from others. You find that sometimes, because you feel maybe a reason to explain yourself, others might feel the same way, right? Where is it that you're over explaining or over indulging in that nature that doesn't suit you anymore? Where are you not putting this powerful energy and taking the steps to keep going? What I mean by that is, like, keep going in your own direction. Right? One of my favorite lines is, why would you take advice from someone you wouldn't trade places with? Like, look around. Where are you being swayed by people you wouldn't even trade places with? That's something you have to remember. Just because you're cerebral and you have these thoughts and you have these communications with other people, it doesn't mean that either your opinion has to sway someone or someone else has to sway you. Sometimes it's just an exchange, and that's all it is. And that's where you can allow that to rest. And when you do that and understand that all of these small, very simple, very human, very Venusian steps that are being taken, it brings you the capability to understand that where passion and purpose meet, how you're capable of having that and still creating a long-standing sense of security and luxury in which you need and what's good for you. And so that when you sit back to acknowledge and look at what you've done, you finally get to this place. So this Taurus energy is really strong with you. So also, if there's a Taurus in your life, know that they're going through changes as well as you, and that this change is going to affect you in the way that you look and how you appear to people and how you appear to what traditions have been dominating in your life. And now you're breaking those and molding them into your own, and what that looks like for you, and how well it's been working, and how much that tears down what hasn't been working. And I know it's a lot, but this Aries new moon was setting the tone of, like, if you don't take care of yourself, then what do you think the Libra full moon is gonna feel like? Like, what do you think it's gonna feel like? So if you got that hint and can take it that far, again, I'm telling everyone, Taurus season is going to roll out all of these very beautiful pathways. You just have to allow things to burn where they need to burn. And then if you feel this lightning is the element of the psyche, when your psyche gets lit up, don't deceive yourself by not doing what you know you're capable of. Remember what you're capable of this month more than anything, and how, if you can know that and you can understand that, then that is self-explanatory, is it not? All right, second part will be in a Patreon link below, as well as information to work with me one-on-one. All right, Libra, I'll see you next month. Hi, Libra. This month is huge with the ego death, yet needing your ego just as much. That's the word. It is necessary, that's what I was thinking of, for you to take a look at what is still standing, what actually matters to you, what is important to you. Yes, you like the way things look. Of course you do. You're Venusian. That's just a part of you. That's your build. Anyone who gives you or feels like they need to compete with you or feels like you are whatever it is to them just because you like to show up in a certain attire or a certain appearance has nothing to do with you. That has to do with them and their own insecurity and, just owning whatever it is that they decide to, put forth. You, however, like the aesthetic, and that's something that runs deep. There's something aesthetically changing about you through your ego. Your ego is going through something very nuanced because not all parts of your ego are bad. Not all parts of your ego need to be revamped. This is about a lot changing, especially on the physical structure, seeing that the death and the devil are here. That's the first part of the month, and the second part of the month is more spiritual and yet physical. It's so tied together, and you may feel like you don't even know where you're going this month. You just have to ride the mystery of Venus being in Pisces, yet you know it's so healing and you trust that. There's a different sense of trust, and once Mercury goes into Taurus, that's when you can actually speak on the things that you've been going through. But I think I would wait until the 10th to pronounce. You might get recognition by that point. Things might change hugely by that point. You may have to really take a look or accept the teardown. This feels more like philosophically or spiritually that something is changing and shifting, and now you're able to have and use the spiritual energy in a way that's extremely creative. There's something I wrote down that I want to share with you. The love of thyself is to the death of your ego, and you have to learn to see yourself through. What do I mean by that? To really love yourself is to love yourself when your ego dies, and you've been here before, but you're coming back here because this very, very extra Venusian wave is passing over you. And you're going to be able to use this energy and use this where Mercury thrives is in creating. And what do you love? Creating the life around you. So it's going to start internally within yourself, in your home, and how you relate to others, and how you speak and communicate and listen and return, but also receive. A lot of you are going to realize that the more receptive you are, the more that you're going to understand what needs to be built and built upon, or what needs to be moved forward, or what needs to be let go of even more. If you let yourself sit back this month in a way that is being directly receptive, it's not being passive. You're learning to let things really come to you, just like Taurus, and then utilize that in the best manner through meditation, through whatever meditation looks like for you. That could be, going to church for some of you. That could be doing art. That could be, cleaning. That could be hanging out with certain people every week because those are the people you love to be around. You could be wanting to create more of that kind of community, but there's something very powerful almost channeling through you. And the willingness to accept this, and this is very Libran, is you realize that you need to walk away from this mentality, that there could be an inflow and an influx of luck and creativity and love, and it's all just because at some point in life, everyone needs to know what it's like to experience, to relax in that. To relax in that without having to worry or wonder about someone else. And yeah, that sounds like a luxury when you have children, but that's what an ego death and that's what it's a very spiritual thing, to remember that. And I don't have kids, so I'm saying that and noting that, but I have had one of my siblings I'm very, very close to, and it's like we raised each other almost, and to a certain extent, not taking away from any, my parents, but it's just the truth of the matter. And I'm sure some of you can really relate to that. And the truth of the matter is that the real reflections in your life are going to be the people who really show up, who really show face. It's not going to be the ones that really just need something from you all the time, or want your opinion on this, or want to compete or feel compelled to, compliment or overly assert themselves towards you or combat you. This is about you understanding that pouring and learning to be poured into, learning to have this person in your life who's mutually receptive to all the things that you are and all the things that you're becoming, because you can sit here and you can call the shots and have everything grow, but you can equally get in the field and do what needs to be done. And I think that in any spiritual teaching or movie or book or something that has profound meaning, there's like a master, right? There's usually a master of something. But they have to remember, and something we learn from the masters is that you still have to be a kid, that you still have to be able to question and, have a sense of wonder. And they usually learn from the student and know that they're continuously learning from the student. So as the more adolescent growing up sign, right smack in the middle, there's something the ego death is going to be in those parts of you that are able to hold shit down and get shit done and also play. And that's the beautiful thing about this month and going into Taurus season, is that something is blooming inside of you and you're growing right now, and you're growing in a way that's extremely important. And like I said, this month is going to be important and a very much a foreshadowing for life next year. It's not going to be the same like reoccurrence. For some of you it could be, depending on like your chart and your life, but it's going to be this mutual understanding, this understanding that shit changes, something that Mercury knows very well. And you're going to be able to speak things not only to people and into existence, but it's going to be like the way you talk, the way you speak is like, it only aids growth. It only aids the growing of the stem or growing of the leaf or the sprouting of it all, or the blooming of the flower. And that's something you want to remember going into this month. Not that things can't be negative or you only have to live in that positive, but if you want things to be supported the way you want to be supported, you need to return that. You need to be very, not only receptive, but reciprocal this month without judgment, right? Discernment is different than judgment. Be discerning, but not judged. Let shit die, let things fall apart, because those things were not meant to be. If something's falling apart and something's changing, let it change. Let it change. And if you need to take a serious sit back and sit down, do that. Have a conversation with someone you admire and someone who's in that philosophical mood, because you're in that space of healing. And when you get there, you usually know, not a lot of people may know this about you, but you go that philosophical way. That's when you're like, the physical things are great and I love them, but right now, and there's something about Uranus and Taurus also teaching you to be unattached to certain things, because what if more is coming? not to say you don't, and that's also to remember that you have exactly what you need and what's meant to be right now. But it's not without dreaming big and making those steps. So I'm not saying that, and I know I throw a lot at you, but these are things that you can think about this month. These are things you can weigh out this month. But some things are not going to ask for your permission. And then you realize where in life you ask for permission where you don't actually need to. All right, Libra? This is amazing. I'm going to put some of this up on YouTube. I love you. Next month. See you next month.